437 4991 for the fine art of dentistry.
Your local station, 590 WMBS.
I hear voices in my head.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm your host, the voice of reason, Dave Dunaway. It's Thursday, May 28th, 2026, and you're listening to The Sports Voice. Welcome to The Sports Voice. And I promise, since it's the end of May, we're going to save football until the second hour. We've tried to do that the entire month, but it just seems like the stories in football become much more important than the stories for the rest of our local teams. With that being said, a little bit of breaking news. It looks like your Pittsburgh Pirates are going to call up pitcher Jared Jones to start tomorrow's opener against the Minnesota Twins. Yes, that's right. The NL idiot, Derek Shelton, coming back to town with the Minnesota Twins for the weekend. We will see Jared Jones starting in that first game. The other announcement was that Carmen Mlodzinski would be shifted to a very important role in the bullpen. Honestly, if you can get anybody out in that Pirate bullpen, it's a very important role. So a much-needed boost to that pen with Mlodzinski. I don't think Mlodzinski pitched that bad as a starter, but we know Jared Jones doesn't want to go into the pen. We found that out when they asked him about the potential of that happening. I think it's probably best to use him as a starter at first, see what you can get, see if Mlodzinski can help the pen. Dotel has helped the pen since he's been recalled. I would look for maybe more help on the way, but after what we saw last night, there's quite a few arms in that bullpen that need to be pitching on another team, probably demoted somewhere to AAA or AA or single A or maybe rookie ball based on what it looks like night in and night out. That being said, the Pirates losing last night to the Chicago Cubs, not a pretty one in any way. They lose 10-4, snapping their three-game winning streak that they were coming in on. The Pirates are in action later this evening against the Cubs. This is a four-game series. Of course, all hope is that they can take this fourth game for a number of reasons. Number one being Paul Skeens coming off of losing two in a row, trying to show that he's still got it, that he's still the best pitcher in the National League, potentially in Major League Baseball. Good luck with that this year. Ohtani's got an ERA under 1, but in the end, Skeens trying to show that he hasn't lost velocity, that he isn't hurt, that he's just as good as he's always been, and we will see what happens in this final game against the Cubs. The Cubs just snapping a 10-game losing streak last night. If the Pirates can take 3 out of 4, it looks great. If it's 2-2 after being up 2-0, then the question marks come again for your Pittsburgh Pirates, who dropped the last series 2-1 against the Toronto Blue Jays over the weekend. So a lot to get to with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think very good news with Jared Jones coming up. We'll talk about some of the other call-ups that they've had recently and how they've contributed to what's going on with this team. But the Pirates right now, they're 29-27. Everybody happy about that, but they're still in last place. Maybe not so happy about that. It's a rejuvenated NL Central. Other news from Major League Baseball this week, former Pittsburgh Pirate icon Andrew McCutchen designated for assignment by the Texas Rangers. Did you think it would have been any better in Pittsburgh? At least Texas was able to do it. I question whether or not the Pirates ever would, even though it probably would have been warranted if he were here. In other news in sports, the Pittsburgh Penguins finally agreed to the one-year contract with Evgeny Malkin. What does this do for the future of the Penguins? Well, to me, it looks more like the past than the future. You ran a team into the playoffs and then got them run into the ground by a rebuilding Philadelphia Flyers team. Now it looks like you're going to put virtually the same team back out there again, all of them 1 year older, and think, what? You're going to catch lightning in a bottle and somehow they're going to win a series this upcoming year? The Penguins, in my opinion, are going in the wrong direction. They need to get younger, not older. And if you don't believe that, just watch the Stanley Cup playoffs. Watch what happened, whether it was what happened to Colorado by Vegas or whether you're watching what's happening with Carolina and what they're doing to Montreal. Any way you look at it, the Penguins would not even be on the same ice as any of those four teams. They would have been swept by any of them. They would have been swept by Carolina in the second round if they got past Philadelphia. They just are not a team built to win in the postseason. They won't play postseason hockey. These guys are all older. They're set in their ways. They're going to do things their way. And in the end, their way leads to a lot of disappointment. I think people bought into it this year thinking, ooh, they can win us. Oh, they got Philadelphia. They can beat them. And you saw they're not young enough. They're not fast enough. And they're just not good enough to win in the postseason. And now with Malkin, Raquel, all of these guys, you're just kicking the can one more year because there are no legitimate spots for young players, certainly not on the top two lines, based on what you're bringing back. The Pittsburgh Steelers haven't really done much this week, which I guess is good. Now it's just kind of soak it in and wait for Aaron Rodgers to put on his throwing display behind this makeshift offensive line with a bunch of old, slow talent. But hey, in the end, everybody's happy because this should guarantee them 8-9 or 9-8 or whatever the mean is, to either be at the mean or above the mean. That's all the clown ownership cares about anyways. They have had OTAs. I really haven't heard a lot about how great everybody looks. Normally you hear that. That starts at OTAs, then anything else that goes on. They could play flag football with each other in somebody's backyard, and you hear about what a great catch somebody made or what a great job someone did pulling the flag. Then we go to camp, and everybody looks phenomenal. Then the season starts, and you're like, this guy looks really slow. This guy looks really old. This guy looks really bad. So it makes you wonder, when the hacks are up there telling you how wonderful everything looks, why that doesn't translate into the regular season when it begins. Also, some added news for the show. Nick Barczyk has returned. Still couldn't really find out. We did a lot of Google searching last week, but yet we could not find him. So I'm assuming he wasn't in prison. That was our concern. There's still that stuff with that brick. But in the end, we'll let Nick at some point hopefully fill us in on where he was. I did speculate that he was getting me that interview he was supposed to get me weeks ago with Fernando Mendoza, but I've not heard anything about that. So I'm assuming that's not where he was. But I know he's excited to be back and do the Bucco, or I'm sorry, the Bucco. Now, we try not to talk about the Buccos as much as we can, to do the NBA and WNBA roundup. So, Nick Barczyk, first of all, welcome back to the Sports Voice. Secondly, where were you, and am I getting an interview?
Well, I was in Vegas, but I didn't meet Mr. Mendoza, so because he's out there, as we know. I got Kirk Cousins, but I don't think you would want him. No, it was great to be out and doing stuff, but I missed you. I heard you and Bill a little bit last week, and you guys held down the fort, man. That was a professional radio show. About time.
Well, when people think of me, they think professionalism. I can tell you that.
Those are the two words.
No one ever complains about what I say and do on here. So I just assume I'm the epitome of professionalism whenever I'm here.
Right.
I think half of the things I do on here, most people don't understand.
Exactly.
That's part of the problem.
That's,
maybe I'm just a little over everybody's head with certain things.
You're too witty. You're too bright.
Yeah, maybe someday when I take this national, who knows what'll happen.
Syndication.
Syndication.
That's where the real money is.
I guess. See if anybody wants to purchase this product. We'll see who's listening.
Oh, you
How
have many
far-reaching
suitors.
am I?
I'm sure you have many suitors, Dave.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, normally in May, we do this all positive show, and sometimes I forget. Sometimes I just can't get to it. Sometimes there's just nothing positive, so I don't know how I could possibly do it. And then, of course, my critics, and they are many, will say, it's not really a positive show. It's just him being sarcastic and seeing who he can fool. Whatever. It's as good as I can get as far as being positive. So I haven't really done it, but I'm thinking I've kind of done it in relation to the Pirates. I think I've been a lot softer with the Pirates. I think I've been a little more optimistic. I still don't know if I trust them. I don't hate them. And I think I've tried to figure out kind of where I am in this spectrum. And it's all coming full circle this weekend. Because I realized that the biggest issue I had with the Pirates over the last 5 years was the analytic manager. I mean, I'm fine if you want to use analytics. Most of Major League Baseball uses analytics. But at least they have a competent person in charge that knows how to do it. This guy had no clue what he was doing. Deer in headlights for 5 years. It's one thing if you're deer in headlights for a year and then you get replaced. But because he was cheap and a yes man and said whatever they wanted him to, they just kept him around, and the team got worse and worse every single year. A couple of those years, they had the first overall draft pick. They were so bad in that period of time, Major League Baseball changed its draft rules and went to a lottery so that they could not keep getting the first pick overall and then ruining Major League Baseball's marketing like they've done with Paul Skeens, where you can't focus on anything national with this guy because if it's national, the Pirates aren't there. If it's playoffs, they're nowhere to be found. The only thing they really could use him for was the World Series, and then supposedly the Pirates held them hostage if they wanted to put them on one of the streaming services, saying they wanted money in return for Paul Skeens to be out there pitching on that given night. It was interesting. Was it Sunday? They were advertised. They were the game of the week on Peacock.
Right.
And the Pirates advertised, because Skeens had pitched the night before, they advertised Connor Griffin and then didn't play him. He was part of not part of, I guess, the Sunday lineup.
I missed that. That's
that was
funny.
put out. Yeah, he was on the advertisement was him and Vladdy.
Right.
And then here comes the lineup and there's no Griffin in it.
Oh.
So typical Pirates. I mean, you have a chance to actually showcase your stars,
Dave.
and you don't do it.
Connor Griffin needs rest. He's 20 years old. He has a bad back.
But he'd played like 20 straight games.
I know, but
Why
he's
would
20.
that be the day off that he
I
gets?
know.
Like, give him off Saturday.
He's
or,
a baby. His legs
whatever.
are fine. Yeah.
Well, they don't want him to be tired down the stretch when they're probably 5 or 6 games under 500.
Right.
Playing
for
for
a wild
nothing.
card. Yeah.
Yes. And this is going to be a tough year. I think looking around Major League Baseball, there are some legit teams out there that I don't think are going to fall by the wayside. I think this is a tough year for the Pirates to make the playoffs. So they're not going to be like the Reds last year where you can win 80 games and get in. Like, it's not going to happen. So I think that the Pirates had an opportunity in the offseason to solidify some things. First of all, no one expected Connor Griffin on this roster.
No.
That's why they're giving away bobbleheads of TV stars, and there's no bobblehead of Griffin. Nobody expected him to be up. We talked about that last week.
I
By the way,
heard that rant. I
That might
loved
be
it.
the biggest joke of all.
I almost text you.
So there was no anticipation of Griffin coming up. Why would he? With 7 years of protection, they're not going to call him up until they sign him to a contract. Now they got 9 years on this contract. They're not going to let him stay in the minors. They're going to get him up here and milk whatever they can out of that. So they got him up immediately. So no one knew Griffin was going to be around. So you look at the offseason and you start to ask, well, why didn't they go and get a big-time free agent? Well, because you got to pay for that, and they didn't want to pay for that. You can pretend like you're going to pay for that. They've gotten real good at that over the years. Oh, we were so close. Like, it was down to us and insert name of team that actually signed the guy. And we were this close. We were off by like, and then every time they tell the story, they have to raise the money that they offered because when the terms of the contract come out, it increases a little bit. So where they say, yeah, we offered $100 million, and then Philadelphia gives 120. The next time they talk, yeah, we offered like 119, and they just chose not to sign with us. They chose to sign with Philly. By the way, how nice would Cal Schwarber look in this lineup right now?
Oh.
Speaking of that, that was who they were targeting. That was who they were all in on. And just like every other big-time free agent, they were just a slight little miss on actually bringing them in.
Well, that short right field at PNC, oh, I'm salivating. But no, we can't have that.
But that's why they're where they are. That's why they're in last place and not first place. All they needed
Well,
to do was bring in one of those guys.
It's such a long season, Dave. The Cubs have had 2 10-game winning streaks and just came off a 10-game losing streak. It's a long freaking year, pardon my French.
And still
but-
are a game ahead of the Pirates.
Right, they are, but they have a better lineup. We knew coming into the year they were better than the Pirates, but yeah, there's issues with this offseason. And by the way, you're very hard on Sheldon, as am I, but you definitely harder than anyone. But I've heard some sympathetic tones about him, like, well, they really weren't trying to win when he was here. Once he left, this offseason they started trying to win. I don't know if I buy that.
Why would you hire someone if you're not going to try to win with them?
Right. But
I mean, Minnesota's doing the same thing.
Right.
Minnesota basically said, we're not going to spend. They were spending a decent amount of money. Now they're going to try to jettison all the big contracts
Right.
and not spend. So,
Yeah.
and who do they bring in to oversee that? Him. Because
Right.
what manager in their right mind would want to go to a team that says, yeah, we're not really going to spend or try anymore? He's the only moron that's going to take that job. Just like he was the only moron that took this job when they decided they weren't really going to do anything.
Right. And a lot of
So-
these managers are constrained by the general manager and what they want, and we see that in all sports. But yeah, I mean, I've heard some sympathetic opinions about him, but I don't think he was a great manager. You think he was one of the worst, but
Well, the worst
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
yeah, and Don Kelly, I have issues with him as well. I think he's better. I think he's a better baseball man, but I have issues with him as well, and we'll voice that. But
Yes. And
again,
he's not perfect by any
No.
sense of the word, but at least he appears, for the most part, competent.
competent.
The other
yeah.
one was very grossly incompetent, and it was shown pretty much on a nightly basis.
And you're demanding a sweep this weekend of
I'm
Sheldon's
demanding a
Twins.
sweep.
That's right. It's hard to sweep a major
If
league
they
team.
sweep Minnesota, I'll do the all positive show next week.
Well, they do have Jared Jones tomorrow, his first major league start in years.
I'm
So
excited for it.
yeah, it's exciting.
just-
By the way, Park should be filled. Skeens tonight, Jones tomorrow, but I bet it won't be. 'Cause
It
it's a
hasn't been all
It's a
year.
fake baseball town. and
Hasn't
a fake
been all
sports
year.
town.
Now, people whine and cry, and they, oh, we love the Pirates. Yeah, where are you when the games start? And there's a ton of excuses: work, school, cold, rain. But like we said a couple weeks ago, they don't have an issue with it when it's a Steeler game.
Right.
They're all there no matter what the weather is.
And that's only 8 home games, but still, the Pirates, if you think they're a contender and Skeens is the best ever, then go ahead and
If
support
every
them.
so-called hardcore Pirate fan went to 8 games, that park would be filled.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good
So,
point.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of voices out there, just not a whole lot of action that comes from it.
Right.
So back to what I was saying about this free agent thing.
Right.
I know it's hindsight, and you start to look at some things. So people had talked about McCutchen. Should the Pirates bring McCutchen back? Well, I don't anticipate McCutchen would have been any better here than what he was in Texas. You saw what he did last year. If it got to this point where the Pirates would be forced to consider a DFA, would they do it? Probably not.
But here's the thing. They parted ways with their old veteran, I'll say legend of the organization. The Penguins just re-signed their
Right.
old guy, and they're going to keep the nostalgia going. The Steelers have just re-signed an old guy. I'll give the Pirates credit for moving on from the old guy.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm started beating around the bush for a couple of things. McCutchen's just my first.
Yeah.
So the Pirates say, we're going to be active in free agency. Okay. Were they active? I guess. But did they spend where they should have? Now, once again, it's hindsight, but I was complaining about this when it happened. $12 million gets thrown to Marcell Ozuna. Once again, you're in a situation similar to McCutchen. He's not hitting 200. He's got 5 home runs. I mean, he was brought here to hit home runs. He's got 5. It's money that could have been better spent. Add $8 million to it. Bring in Kyle Schwarber. Bring in Cal Tucker. Bring in Suarez. Bring in literally anyone that can hit over 200 and hit for power. Instead, you take the cheap way out. You get the bargain basement 1-year deal, so you have no investment, no care, no concern. You can move him at the deadline if anybody else is dumb enough to take him. They signed him in, March? So nobody wanted him prior to that. So you bring him in at the expense of a better player, and now you play him all the time at DH. You've got liabilities all over that field. Cruz is a liability in center. Reynolds has become a liability in left. I think Horwitz is a liability at first.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the worst defensive first basemen I've ever seen. You've got O'Hearn hurt, and you're trying to play him out in right because you've got nowhere to put anybody at DH because this guy who can't hit 200 is DHing all the time because you paid $12 million and you think that's a lot of money in today's day and age of Major League Baseball. Meanwhile, you could have had someone better. You've got no power at third, you've got no power at first, and you've got a DH who's supposed to be your power that can't hit. So that's what you've become. When you look at the Pirates, I know there's going to be a lot said about Kelly and a lot said about the bullpen, but when you look at their hitting, a lot of it has been timely hitting. It's not been really anyone consistent. Even Lau, who has all the home runs, is barely hitting 260. Nobody's really tearing it up. So you've got this spot hitting that's taking place, and eventually that wears off. It keeps you right around 500, and that's where they are. If you want to be better, you've got to bring in better talent. I think Griffin's going to be a star. I think he's already started to master the major league approach to hitting. I think you're going to see the power start to come. He had a home run last night. I know that's been an issue. He only has 4, but I think that I'm not. If he's hitting 270, I'm not worried about the fact he has 4 home runs. He just turned 20 years old. I think that when you look at the rest, you've got guys that you hope are stars like Cruz. Everybody wants to anoint him a star, but every game somebody's talking about a mistake he made, whether he's watching a pitch go right down the middle, botching a ball in the outfield, messing up on the bases. I mean, there's always a problem, always an issue. That's not somebody you can trust 162 games a year. You just can't. He should have been moved on from. If anybody else is bought and sold on the fact of how hard he throws and how hard he hits and exit velocity, maybe you could have got something for him in return. He is not a star. He's not a leader. He's not a captain. He's lazy. And I said it before. I'll say it again. 200 average, 200 strikeouts. That's what he'll have at the end of the year. Reynolds also not a star. He's a decent compliment at this point in his career, but he is not your star player on this team. He led in power numbers and RBIs and all that stuff in years where they had nothing. He wouldn't do it this year. He's not going to do it this year unless they trade Lau at the deadline, which they better never do, because if anybody's earned an actual contract and an extension, it's this guy. So hopefully they do re-sign him. O'Hearn's been fine. He's just hurt. You talk about these guys they called up, Valdez. Valdez has all this power. He has 2 home runs. Yeah, he's 2 hits. That's what he has. 2 hits. They're both home runs. Justinson Garcia, the password. He's back down in the low 200s again. That's been his issue with Major League Baseball.
Oh, yeah.
He can't hit consistently. You've got a catcher that can't hit 140.
Deeper, the whole organization can't develop hitting. I mean, you're
No.
describing it by these averages
Right.
and these names. Yeah.
You go through it. Who has been developed? I don't think Griffin's been around long enough for them to mess him up.
Oh, they'll ruin him.
I don't
I'm
know
trying
now.
not to
Now
be
that he's
negative.
up there, I don't know if they will.
He's really good. He's going to be there forever. I pray that they don't screw him up.
And we'll get to the pitching, but I think a lot of the reason why they are where they are is lack of consistent hitting.
Right.
And I just don't think they have the caliber of guy. They don't have consistent hitters on this roster because they don't want to pay for them. And that's the problem with, I think, where they are. They're not getting the offense that they need.
No, and every now and then, like the other night, they'll put up 12 runs, but then last night you give up 10. The bullpen's a sieve. You know, there are issues here, but they are what they are, a barely above 500 team, an average team. The Cubs, I think, have better talent, and they're basically at the same record. So you can look at it positively, you can look at it negatively. It's a loaded division, and, you know, looking to specifically tonight, I know it's only May 28th, but this is a big game. Skeens is at 2 bad starts. He's not just your best pitcher, but maybe the best pitching talent we've ever seen. And he needs to have a good start at home against a divisional rival. If you want to fend off the Cubs, you still have to play a lot if you want to battle them for a wild card spot. So, yeah, I mean, you want to take this series. You want because if he has 3 bad starts in a row and the velocity's still down, then it's a trend. I mean, 2 could be a coincidence. 3 in a row, you know, we could be injured. So we want to look at physical ailments if he struggles tonight. So I know it's only the week after Memorial Day, but these are big games. You have the Cubs tonight, your division rival. Then you have your former manager coming to town, and you want to prove wrong this weekend. So these are big games, and, yeah, there are issues. The hitting is inconsistent. The bullpen is not great. And the starting pitching, I think now with Jones coming in, is going to be bolstered. But there are issues at every unit of this team. And I haven't even mentioned the base running and defense, which is subpar.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, in 223 at-bats, O'Neill Cruz has 87 strikeouts already.
Yeah, Cruz and
So,
Reynolds,
just
it's
so you know.
over.
Well, Reynolds isn't even close. I mean, normally you would think Reynolds has 53.
Yeah.
By the way, Griffin also has 53.
Yeah, it's an issue.
So-
Strikeouts around the
But
league are
that's
just awful.
35 less than what O'Neill Cruz has.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a problem.
Cruz it's awful. It's either going to strike out looking or swinging. I bet with everyone I'm watching the game with, it's going to be one or the other.
And his choice in pitch, it's just egregious what he does, and yet he's out there every day.
Well, Matt Haig needs to. I mean, do we have a good hitting
Oh, I'm
coach?
sure. Matt Haig really tore it up when he was a player. So
Well, a lot of great managers and coaches weren't great players. We know that, but
I
still,
haven't seen anything from this offense to tell me Matt Haig's a great coach.
no,
so
no.
I certainly didn't see anything from his offense
I'm
to
just
tell me
saying
he's a great player.
he should work with these guys.
So the rotation has been, I guess, the strength of this team. I mean,
Yeah. On
we're-
paper,
But so we're taking out Majinski,
Yeah.
but we're leaving in Chandler.
Yeah, I don't get that
And
at
I know
all.
Chandler's pitched better his last couple outings. Not that the team helped him. There were errors. I mean, there was a number of reasons why he hasn't
Oh.
had wins to match that.
Defense is awful.
But Majinski, I thought, was okay. Jared Jones is coming back sight unseen. We haven't seen him for over a year, coming off a pretty bad injury. Skeens has struggled as of late to where people are questioning whether or not he's healthy. Keller has been okay for the most part. Ashcraft's been
He's
their best pitcher.
He has their best stuff right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's your strength. When you get into the bullpen, I mean, no matter what guy I mention, even Bubba Chandler, when you get into the bullpen, it's a huge drop-off. A huge drop-off from that. Look at what we saw last night. Sisk, Ramirez, Lawrence, they all get hit up. They all get, destroyed when they come out.
Yeah.
They talked, we had a little conversation, Bill and I, last week. There was a lot of criticism on Donnie Kelly for pulling out Mitch Keller last week and then replacing him with a left-handed pitcher to face a left-handed batter. And in essence, based on what Major League Baseball has become, that's the correct thing to do. Like, that should work. When you do that, according to the numbers, that should work. The problem isn't that he pulled out Keller, put in a left-hander. The problem is the best he has is Evan Sisk.
Right.
That's the problem. The problem is the personnel. I would not make that decision if my next guy in was Evan Sisk. Nor would I make it for any of these other guys. Lawrence would never be on my roster. Never. He hasn't earned a spot there. He's been the worst of a bad bullpen. Cam Sanders up for a period of time. Matson, actually, he's in Indy. He's got a 0 ERA. He's 1-0 since he's been sent out. He needs to come back. I know he struggled, but he's not worse than these guys that I just named. They need to find the best possible pieces. Dotel's looked okay. See what you can get out of him. You got to figure it out. If you're going to put these starters on pitch counts and you're going to bring these guys in the sixth inning, then you better put some quality out there in the sixth inning. Because if you keep bringing Ramirez and Lawrence and Sisk and whoever else in there, you're going to keep seeing games like what you saw last night with the Chicago Cubs. Because you don't have enough offense to overcome giving up 10 runs.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have quality, it doesn't matter who the manager is or what decisions he makes. I said this last year, the last few years with Shelton. I agree with you. He was not a good manager, but I would always say, what does he have to work with? And I think Kelly has a little more to work with, but still, I mean, that bullpen, if you're leaking runs out of that pen, you're not going to win anything of note. You're just not. You can contend early in the season, but down the stretch in a playoff spot, it's not going to happen. And you mentioned all those names, and they're just leaking runs, most of them. Ramirez last night, 4 runs in a third. You're giving up double-digit runs to a team that's lost 10 in a row. So it's not great, but, above 500, I think they're a little better than I thought they'd be, but there are definitely issues.
Shelton made bad decisions.
He did.
Kelly, and like I just said with what he did, I think he made the right decision. He just has bad players. Like, there's a difference between the two. You can have bad players and make bad decisions. You can have bad players and make good decisions. If you make a good decision with a bad player, then, I mean, what can you do?
Right.
You did what you should have done. Shelton rarely did what he should have done. He had these guys out. He was more worried about that clicker in his hand than he was about whether or not they actually won ball games. I mean, I'll give credit to Kelly. Ashcraft sometimes is in there till the 7th, 8th inning.
Right.
Would he have been there if Shelton was the manager?
And you think that's a Shelton and Kelly move? They're not being dictated to what to do by Sherrington or the front office?
I think they get a little leeway depending on who the guy is. I'm not going to say that you can do whatever you want with Paul Skeens because I'm
No.
sure they're monitoring that.
Of course.
But I think when you look at the next level of guy, Ashcraft, Keller, maybe even Chandler,
Yeah.
I think there's probably a little more freedom to decide for the manager
The
with
rest
that.
of them. Skeens is in his own class, unless he keeps struggling.
Yeah.
Then we'll put Ashcraft on that first tier.
But it's been noticed, the amount of time people have actually complained and said, why can Ashcraft go 7 innings on 90-some pitches,
Yeah.
but Skeens gets pulled in 6 on 70-some
There's
pitches?
different rules for
So,
different people, yeah.
But it seemed like in the past, it didn't matter who you were coming out at that threshold.
Right,
That
that's
number,
true.
whatever it was, you were coming out. There was no chance to pitch yourself out of a jam. There was none of that. It was, we're going to bring this guy in, this specialist going to pitch this guy, this specialist going to pitch this. And they had no specialists. The bullpen was considerably worse.
It was too by the book, you're saying. It was
Yes.
too just analytic driven. You need
And
to have
it's
some
still
guy.
analytic driven,
Of course, it's Major League Baseball in 2026.
but it's not.
We have computers calling balls and strikes. We're always going to have an analytic driven game now.
The analytics were not used correctly in previous years.
Okay,
That was
that's
my
fair.
issue. That's why he got the nickname from me.
Right.
Because he's terrible at it. Kelly isn't great, but I mean, the challenges, normally they win. By the way, I would never let O'Neal Cruz and or Marcelo Zuna challenge anything ever
Well,
again.
the managers can't challenge those, but you're
Right.
right. I would tell certain players who fail at it constantly,
Yeah.
and don't do it in the first inning. Cruz has
On the
done
first
that multiple
pitch.
times. Yeah.
Ozuna's done it on the first pitch.
Well, yeah.
Like, I would just go and say, look, you're probably going to strike out anyways. Just don't do anything stupid,
Right. Don't cost us our challenges in the third inning, or
Right.
sometimes the first. Yeah, you're right.
which is what normally happens. But outside of that, I think the challenges from Kelly, like I'm looking at what happened the other night with the bat, with the check swing where he got thrown out, the pitching coach got thrown out, Murphy.
yeah.
So, I mean, they're right on that. And
Right.
you know, regardless of what you're arguing about, whether it's getting hit with a ball, which Griffin clearly got hit, and they missed that call, there were some really bad calls that I don't have a problem if you want to go out. Shelton ran out there and yelled at everything. And half the time he was wrong.
He leads the league in ejections this
Half the
year.
time
Kelly's
he
up
was
there,
wrong.
too.
You go
Yeah.
back, you look at replay. What is he even doing out there? Or he'd make a
No.
challenge. He lost most of his challenges.
He was sticking up for his team, Dave. He's a fiery guy.
He's a fiery guy. Well, I'll say this. They better sweep them this week. If they want any positive praise from me at all, they better sweep them this weekend, because the last thing I want to do next Thursday is have to come on here and talk about any game that they lost to Derek Shelton.
Forget the managers. Do they have talent in that lineup? You would know. I mean, the Twins. That's what
Well,
matters.
Buxton's still there.
Right. Oh, he's old now, yeah.
He's older, but yeah, I mean, there's guy. They've called some people up.
Yeah.
Now, Royce Lewis, former first
I
overall
remember
pick,
him.
he got demoted.
Yeah.
They sent him down. But Taj Bradley's pitching tomorrow night,
Right.
formerly of Tampa. I'm sure you know him well.
Yep, I do.
Actual good pitcher, legit MLB pitcher.
Yeah, it's a series you should win. It's an American League series, so it's not imperative, but when you're playing, maybe the worst manager you ever employed, you want to win that one.
I think the worst manager ever employed in the
Oh.
history of Major League Baseball.
Aw.
But if you missed it, Jared Jones will be the starting pitcher tomorrow night. Paul Skeens will start tonight to finish up with the Chicago Cubs. It's still school night, so the Pirates are playing at 6:40 in hopes that the kids will come down and watch the game. And then, of course, your weekend series with the Minnesota Twins coming up this weekend, also at home. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll either wrap up Major League Baseball or talk a little of Evgeny Malkin signing. We'll see what we feel like. Give me a few minutes, and I'll make a decision. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The countdown is on. The 2026 Best in Fayette contest is back and bigger than ever. Nominations kick off May 27th and the official vote begins June 24th. And this year, we're expanding with brand new categories, including tattoo artists, fish fries, general contractors, junk removal, credit unions, trivia nights, remodelers, property management, and a lot more. Whatever you're looking for, your voice defines the best of our community. Don't miss out. For more info, visit bestinfayette.com.
Is your lawn getting shaggy? Weeds taking over? Maybe it's time for a full yard cleanup or fresh mulch and clean, crisp edges to bring your landscape back to life. Whatever your lawn needs, Z's Ground Control has you covered. They do it right the first time. Call 724-366-9150 today for your free estimate. Z's Ground Control. You grow it, we mow it.
Tired of running out of hot water? Koval Building Supply at 40 Monroe Avenue in Uniontown is your local source for reliable tank and tankless gas water heaters. Whether you're replacing an old unit or upgrading to an energy-efficient tankless system, we have options to fit your home and budget. Our knowledgeable team is ready to help you get dependable hot water when you need it most. Call Koval today at 724-437-8824 or visit kovalsupply.com. Koval Building Supply. Everything you need to keep your home running comfortably.
That sneeze was in a different zip code, and I still felt the germs.
Relax, Randy. I went to Montgomery Medical. I'm fully shielded.
Like a flu shot?
Flu, COVID, the works. If you haven't caught up on your shots yet, they'll get you sorted in minutes. It's basically a suit of armor, but with less clanking. Then do the double shot. After Montgomery Medical, head over to Renew You Medispa. I got their immunity IV drip.
A Medispa?
You relax, you hydrate, and you give your immune system a VIP upgrade.
Montgomery Medical, a family tradition of family medicine.
Is it time for your first home? Or time to trade up to a home that fits your lifestyle? It's time to visit Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. You'll find special savings along with trade-in and trade-up deals. Imagine beautiful, new, energy-efficient homes packed with the features you've been dreaming about. Trade in and trade up at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon, 4500 PA 51. Trade-in value toward purchase of a new home determined by resale value and evaluation by home center manager. Additional deposit may be required.
Mountaintop Title and Notary can handle all of your motor vehicle and PennDOT needs, such as titles, plates, renewal, registrations, and all notary needs. Tina Nicholson of Mountaintop Title and Notary can also handle ATV and boat titles, and also does income taxes. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4:30, and appointments can be made for after hours and Saturdays. Mountaintop Title and Notary with a new location at 655 Nelson Road in Farmington, the only place you need to go for all title, notary, and tax work. Call Tina at 724-984-1514 for the most professional services around.
WMBS.
Welcome back to the Sports Voice. We don't have a ton of time, so I think I'm just going to stick with baseball here for a little bit just to go into a couple of things and something that just came across the wire. We knew this was going to happen, and there's a lot of doubt shed over what Major League Baseball might look like next year. But apparently just very recently, the Major League Baseball owners have proposed the first salary cap since the strike in 1994. So that was one of the sticking points, and the players ended up winning in 94, and Major League Baseball came back, it canceled out the World Series.
Yes.
That was now who was supposed to win that?
Montreal.
Montreal.
The Expos, and they never recovered.
They never recovered
they're
from
gone.
it. So that was the sticking point, was the salary cap. The players won, came back without one. The owners look like they're ready to dig in this time around. From all indications, it looks like they will very easily lock the doors all year if they have to until they get the cap. A lot of talk about competitiveness. I mean, the Pirates are the prime example. They haven't won a World Series since 1979. They haven't been competitively seeking a World Series since the early 90s. You see teams that basically don't really have to win and still make out. They still get a ton of money handed to them. And I can tell you for a fact, when this was proposed, whether Bryce Harper was trying to throw Manfred out of the clubhouse or they were just, more peaceful negotiations, even teams like the Dodgers, the highest spending team in Major League Baseball, said, if you get rid of revenue sharing, we will be open to signing off on a salary cap. So I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of opposition from the owners. The opposition is going to come from the players. The only owners that would be opposed to a cap are guys like Bob Nutting, who would have to spend more than what they're currently spending. I think the other teams are okay with spending less. I think when other teams look at their rosters, there's a lot of wasted money on there that they'll be able to dispose of with a cap. Guys like Bryce Harper don't want it because he'd have to take a pay cut. He'd never fit under a cap where they would still be able to have a competitive team. Basically, they'd all have to renegotiate because there's going to be a set number, just like football, basketball, and hockey. The players who are making a ton right now, they want nothing to do with the cap. Maybe the younger players, the guys that are making less, maybe they'd be more willing to agree to something like that. But if the players can't come to an agreement, Major League Baseball has said, we will lock you out all year. We do not care. This is a huge sticking point right now. And I've said for years, I think it's unfair that teams that try to win have to pay teams that don't. It doesn't make any sense to me when people tell me, oh, the Pirates, they save money on, I don't want to hear that. There's no cap. They should be spending money, not saving money. Every team should be doing it. There's no regulation on what's going on. If you're in a cap and you talk about saving money, that's fantastic because that's another guy you can maybe fit under that window if that's the point. So I think we thought about it. We knew kind of in the back of our minds it was coming. Now this is official. It looks like reality is set in. This is what the Major League Baseball ownership wants to see in the foreseeable future.
Yes, and it's unfortunate, and we knew this was happening. And, yeah, 94 was rough. Baseball finally came back a few years later with McGuire and Sosa, and, yeah, it's brutal. We knew this was going to happen. So
I mean, I hate to see baseball shut down for a year, but it's a bad product that needs fixed. And this is the only thing that's going to fix it. Maybe it keeps Skeens a Pirate because who else is going to be able to afford whatever he wants?
And they've tried. They've made changes, granular changes. The pitch clock has been phenomenal. They've sped up the pace of play, but competitively, it's not where it needs to be. You're right.
No, and it's pretty much the same teams. Can you win as a small market team? You can, but you've got to be perfect. You've got to draft. You've got to develop. Everybody's got to be up and clicking at the right time. and there's a real small window. Teams like the Marlins have won World Series doing it.
Right.
But others, like the Moneyball Oakland A's, they never won a World Series.
No.
So,
Hey, yeah, you're not guaranteed to
Excuse
win,
me.
but yeah, you're fine. But there should be a balance there. And I mean, look at the NFL. Why do they thrive? Small markets win. I mean, they compete every year. Green Bay, the Steelers for years, Buffalo's always in it. Kansas City. You just don't see that in Major League Baseball anymore. We had eras where the Reds, Royals, and Pirates were the best teams in the league, and those days are over. And competitively, the game is just not where it should be. So yeah,
Right.
they need to make adjustments. That's what a league is.
and every city in the NFL goes into the season, well, every city not named Cleveland, thinking that they have a chance to win something.
Right.
Whereas in Major League Baseball, you've kind of accepted the fact that you're not going to.
No, it's the Dodgers, the Yankees. They run this league. Big markets like the Blue Jays last year. I guess that's a big market up in Canada. But you know who's making it? I mean, the Royals can sneak in and win as they did in the last 10 years. But to go on a run, it feels fluky when a small market team gets in there. And frankly, it's not what Major League Baseball wants. We know the NBA's thrilled that the Knicks are in the finals. They say they want competitive balance, but these leagues want New York and LA in the finals. They just do.
Well, the NBA has hit the jackpot because they have the Knicks,
Yeah.
and then they have either the MVP,
Right, SGA or
STD,
Wemby.
and they have this Wemby guy, if it's him. So either way you look, you've got what you want. Where baseball, I mean, we had a World Series a couple of years ago. Nobody knew anybody.
Arizona, Texas,
Yeah.
right. It was two small markets, and Corbin Carroll's a great player, but he's not moving the needle like Judge or Ohtani. So, yeah, it was going to happen, and here it is. Enjoy baseball this year because you may not get it next year.
Speaking of Ohtani, is he the best pitcher in baseball?
I think he's the best player ever.
0.82 ERA.
Yeah, 6 no-hit innings last night with a home run. I know it was the Rockies, but just ridiculous. And can they give the Cy Young to him because he only pitches 5-6 innings every outing? I mean, I would.
I mean, guys have
Right
tried
now.
for years to do the dual thing.
Yeah.
But no one has been the best
No.
at both.
Think of how good Skeens and Skubal are as pitchers. Think of how good the great hitters are in the league, Schwarber and the like. Ohtani's doing both at the best level possible, and he's facing real major league talent, which Ruth wasn't doing 100 years ago. Best player ever.
Yes, I would have to agree. People are talking he's the best player of the generation. I agree, Nick. I think he's the best player ever seen
Right.
on a Major League Baseball field.
And he's coming to Pittsburgh next month, and that stadium should be filled, especially if Skeens is facing him.
I'm so
That's
glad he's
all-time
wearing
stuff.
that Dodger blue. That's all I can say. That's
Right.
And look
Well,
at the contract
they
where
could buy
they're
him.
not really reporting anything on it. I guess if there's a salary cap, they'll have to.
And that was
so.
great for baseball. Him languishing in Anaheim with the Angels, same with Mike Trout, who's not nearly on this level because he doesn't pitch. It's like, sorry, Anaheim, you got to put him with the LA Dodgers.
Right. And they tried to move to Los Angeles to generate revenue, but they became the Chicago White Sox. I mean, there's no revenue there. Some cities can't support two teams.
No.
Even
Well,
New York
New York
struggles
can,
at
but the
times.
Mets just get in their own way.
Well, the Mets, yeah, they make up their own issues
right,
somewhere
just
along
like the
way.
Jets. It's a New York thing, yeah.
Right. But that's the maybe one city that can sustain it.
Yes, New York.
We've not really seen it. Even you look at the Chargers and the Rams. I mean, the Chargers are a distant second.
Right.
So it just kind of happens that way
Yeah.
sometimes. Well, that is the end of the first hour of the Sports Voice. When we come back for hour two, a lot to talk about with the signing of Evgeny Malkin by the Pittsburgh Penguins. What does that do for the future of this team? I'll let Nick weigh in on the Aaron Rodgers signing since he wasn't here last week to be able to talk about that with the Steelers. Any big news that comes across, we will have for you. And, of course, Nick's NBA and WNBA roundup. We'll find out if the WNBA playoffs have actually started. So don't go anywhere. A lot coming up in the second hour. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Dave Dunaway, and I'm here to remind you that Franco's Golf Center is open 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Stop by and see Franco's facility on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Franco's service area includes a lighted driving range and golf pro shop. Even my game has improved thanks to golf lessons with Franco's PGA instructors. Franco's also offers full custom club fitting and repairs by certified club fitter Greg Franco. Franco's is open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Give Franco's a call at 724-438-6655.
If you're ready for a dental makeover or in need of basic dental care, the office of Dr. Mark Rabatin is right for you. Dr. Rabatin uses the latest advancement in the industry to achieve comprehensive care that will preserve your smile for years to come by providing general dentistry services. Call today to schedule your appointment at their modern office located in the Fayette Business Park, 724-438-6655. 437 4991 for the fine art of dentistry.
Did you know that you have a choice for your physical therapy provider? NovaCare Rehabilitation offers same-day appointments, and oftentimes you don't need a prescription from your doctor to see us. We will make sure that you are treated as an individual and will work directly one-on-one with you to help achieve your goals. You have tried the rest, now try the best. NovaCare, Delaware Avenue in Uniontown. Phone 724-437-0556 to schedule your appointment today.
Are you looking to list or sell your house? Now is the time to let the professionals at Caldwell Banker Laurel Ridge Realty help you with all of your real estate needs. Caldwell Banker Laurel Ridge Realty has 2 convenient locations to better serve you. In Uniontown area, 724-437-7100, or in Connellsville area, 724-628-7200, and speak with one of our real estate professionals. Visit our website, caldwellbanker.com. We have been proudly serving Western Pennsylvania area for over 30 years and look forward to helping you with all of your real estate needs. Broker Paul Borge Jr.
Your local station, 590 and 101.1 W266DB, WMBS Uniontown. Good afternoon. Sunny clouds and sun, I should say. 75 degrees outside of our Davis & Davis studios. Low tonight at 47. Much more on the Weather Watch and the sports. But right now, news at the top of the hour at 5 o'clock on your local station.
A tentative deal on Lisa Brady, Fox News. So tentative that there's no formal confirmation from Iran or the White House about a memorandum of understanding that reportedly would extend a ceasefire for 60 days and trigger talks on Iran's nuclear program.
President Trump has done something that no other administration is able to do. We have gotten the Iranians to talk about their nuclear program and to perhaps commit to not having one. That has never happened before.
Publicly, an Iranian official has pushed back on the president's demands to give up enriched uranium. But Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that has to happen, along with fully reopening the Strait of Hormuz without charging tolls. Bessent would not confirm any U.S. commitment to discuss sanctions relief or any timetable for President Trump to sign off on the framework. Word of an agreement came as each side accused the other of violating the current ceasefire after the U.S. intercepted Iranian drones threatening ships around the strait, and Iran said it retaliated for earlier strikes by firing on a U.S. base, apparently in Kuwait, which intercepted missiles and drones. The Justice Department is suing 4 states over license plates for ICE and other agencies.
The DOJ has filed lawsuits against Maine, Massachusetts, Oregon, and Washington, as all 4 refused to issue undercover license plates to federal agents. The suits say the states are imposing unconstitutional restrictions that threaten agents' safety. The states generally prohibit undercover license plates for civil enforcement operations that include immigration. That means the affected vehicles instead would have to have plates that identify them as part of the federal government's fleet.
Fox's Jill Nato. The U.S. Supreme Court rules in favor of a black death row inmate from Mississippi who argued racial bias in the jury that convicted him. The justices ruling 5-4 the defense didn't have enough chance to argue black jurors were improperly dismissed. America is listening to Fox News.
Lunch was great, but this traffic is awful.
Can we stop at a bathroom?
Are you all right?
I keep having stomach issues after eating, like diarrhea, gas and bloating, abdominal pain, and sometimes oily stools.
Sound familiar? Those stomach issues may actually be a pancreas issue called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. Creon pancrelipase may help manage EPI. Creon is a prescription medicine used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall. If you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. Call 800-633-9110 or visit creoninfo.com to learn more. That's CREONinfo.com.
I'm asking my doctor about EPI and if Creon could help.
During today's White House briefing, the Treasury chief announcing the launch of the Trump Accounts app.
Secretary Bessent telling reporters nearly 6 million American children have been signed up for Trump accounts.
American family is going to be able to look on their phone every day and see, and I think it's going to drive people to try to understand what they've got here. I think we're going to create a generation of shareholders.
explaining the app is live, and starting July 4th, folks can start contributing to accounts, noting the Treasury Department will make a $1,000 contribution to those with children born between 2025 and 2028, reflecting President Trump's second administration. The secretary went on to say he thinks the effort is going to be one of the greatest real-time financial literacy educations in history.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. This could add up to trouble for the next baseball season. Major League owners proposing a salary cap and a payroll floor, a system the players' union has said it would never accept. Owners say it's necessary to level the playing field. The last time they proposed a firm cap was in 1994, leading to a more than 7-month strike and the cancellation of the World Series for the first time in 90 years. Just days after his last public appearance, hockey legend Claude Lemieux has died. He was 60 and played for 21 years in the NHL, a 4-time Stanley Cup champion.
Lemieux was drafted by the Montreal Canadiens in 1983, winning a Stanley Cup his rookie season in 1986. His 234 postseason games played ranked 6th in NHL history, with his 80 playoff goals ranking 9th. He was also awarded the Conn Smythe Trophy with the Devils in 1995.
Fox's Tony Genualdo. There's no word yet on a cause of death. After a mixed session, more records on Wall Street. The Dow up 24 points. The S&P and the NASDAQ also hitting new highs. The Dow's record close 50,668. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
The award-winning local, district, and statewide news is being brought to you by Ultimate Structures, offering customized sheds, cabins, and metal buildings. Ultimate Structures is ready to design what you desire. Call today, 724-415-0020.
Good afternoon, 5:05 on a Thursday, sun and 75 degrees. Outside of our Davis & Davis studios in Uniontown, Davis & Davis attorneys at law voted Fayette County's best law firm 2025, your local station, 590 and 101.1 WMBS. The Weather Watch and sports on the way in a bit. I'm Nick Barczyk. The Uniontown Area School District Board of Directors held a public hearing last night on the potential permanent shutdown of Franklin Elementary School and Mark Clay Middle School effective at the start of the 2027-28 school year. Parents and community members were given up to 5 minutes each to give their opinions on the proposed shutdowns and closures and building consolidation. The hearing follows a recent board decision to realign grade levels district-wide for the 27-28 school year in the K through 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12. Superintendent Daniel Bosnick previously said these closures and consolidations are attempting to right-size facilities in response to decades of declining enrollment and budget constraints. The board accepted public comments and entered them into the official record, with formal votes on the closures expected at a later date. PennDOT has accepted a $25 million low bid from Joseph B. Fay Company to construct a temporary 500-foot bridge over the Yauk River in West Newton. Work is scheduled to begin in September, with the temporary span expected to open in spring 2027 to allow Route 136 traffic to completely bypass a lengthy detour. Once open, multiple road crews will close and undergo extensive renovations on the historic over 110-year-old West Newton Bridge, which has been in poor condition, analysts say, since 2022. The Federal Highway Administration is funding $17 million of the project, which is fully expected to be finished by 2028. The Westmoreland County Airport Authority has applied for money through the U.S. Transportation Department's Small Community Air Service Development Program to help get a low new cost carrier at Arnold Palmer Regional Airport in Unity Township. The program offers revenue guarantees to help small airports replace lost service, which officials hope will minimize financial risk for a new airline. The initiative comes after the airport was left without any commercial flights following the abrupt closure of Spirit Airlines last month. Securing a new carrier is critical, as the airport is currently finalizing a $22 million project to double the size of its passenger terminal. The number of first-time filings for unemployment are dropping around Pennsylvania. The U.S. Labor Department says for the week ending May 23rd, there were over 8,900 first-time claims in the state, which is hundreds less than the week before. Nationally, the number of initial filings went up compared to the week before. A federal judge is allowing the White House to move ahead with an executive order that puts limits on mail-in voting.
Trump signed an order back in March calling for a list of confirmed U.S. citizens eligible to vote in each state and requiring the U.S. Postal Service to only deliver ballots to voters on each state's approved mail-in ballot list. The Democratic Party filed for an injunction blocking the measure, saying it could disenfranchise millions of voters. A federal judge rejected the Democrats' request because the executive order had not yet been implemented. I'm Michael Kastner.
More next on WMPS.
So what's the difference between the sheds I see in the parking lot of the big box stores and a professionally built and installed JDM structure shed from Ultimate Structures? Good question. First, the manufacturer, JDM Structures, is one of the premier shed builders in business for 34 years. They use composite materials for the exterior with baked-on paint. This ensures you'll have an extended lifespan for your shed. And listen to this. 75% of Ultimate Structures orders are personally designed to satisfy the customer's needs. That's right. And the turnaround time for a custom designed shed is no longer than just buying a stock shed. Compare the roof designs, the superior piano door hinges, the quality of the wall panels, and personal customer service. You'll see. Come to the Mega Lot on Route 51 South, just outside Perryopolis. You need a shed? We can help. We design what you desire. Ultimate Structures.
And in sports, we have Bucko baseball tonight. It is the fourth game of a four-game series. Cubs taking on the Pirates starting at 6:15. Game at 6:40 on WMBS. Paul Skeens on the mound for the Bucks, who lost last night 10-4. Looking to bounce back tonight against their division rivals on WMBS.
So what's the difference between the sheds I see in the parking lot of the big box stores and a professionally built and installed JDM Structure shed from Ultimate Structures? Good question. First, the manufacturer, JDM Structures, is one of the premier shed builders in business for 34 years. They use composite materials for the exterior with baked-on paint. This ensures you'll have an extended lifespan for your shed. And listen to this. 75% of Ultimate Structures orders are personally designed to satisfy the customer's needs. That's right. And the turnaround time for a custom designed shed is no longer than just buying a stock shed. Compare the roof designs, the superior piano door hinges, the quality of the wall panels, and personal customer service. You'll see. Come to the Mega Lot on Route 51 South, just outside Perryopolis. You need a shed? We can help. We design what you desire. Ultimate Structures.
This weather report being brought to you by Montgomery Medical. Trust their 50 years of combined experience for the best results in primary care, newborns to elderly, minor illness or injury, as well as wellness and physical exams. And now the weather.
Sunny and 75, going to be a nice weekend to close out May. Overnight low tonight 47, so a little chilly this evening. 78 tomorrow with sun, 72 and sun Saturday, 77 sunny Sunday, then more sun to begin the week. First few days of June, Monday sunny and 75, 74 Tuesday, clouds and sun. Wednesday 75 and no threat of rain through next Thursday with lows in the upper 50s. Right now clouds and sun, but mostly sunny. It looks like 75 at 5:11 on a Thursday. Good afternoon from the Davis & Davis studios in Uniontown at WMPS. I'm Nick Barczyk. The stock report next from Jenny Montgomery Scott, then the second hour of the Sports Voice with Dave Dunaway on WMPS.
This weather report was brought to you by Montgomery Medical, a family tradition of family medicine. Same-day appointments available for acute care. Call 724-569-8100 or visit montibed.com to schedule your appointment.
Good evening. This is Angie Danko of Janney Montgomery Scott here in Uniontown, bringing you today's closing stock market report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 24.7 points, closing at 50,669. The NASDAQ Composite was up 242.7 points, closing at 26,917. And the S&P 500 Index was up 43.3 points, closing at 7,564. Among companies of local interest, Apple closed at $312.51, up $1.66. Amazon, $274, up $2.15. Cisco, $118.64, down $1.03. Boeing closed at $228.73, up $4.43. Caterpillar, $887.46, down $22.47. Disney, $103.76, down 42 cents. ExxonMobil, $146.99, down 91 cents. First Energy, $46.17, down 61 cents. Johnson & Johnson, $230.85, down 44 cents. Home Depot, $321.24, up $3.39. Intel, $120.89, down 88 cents. McDonald's closed at $277.94, down $2.98. Meta Platforms, $635.29, up 3 cents. PNC Financial Services, $219.85, down 96 cents. Raytheon Technologies, $178.87, up $2.28. Rockwell Automation, $454.66, down $1.42. Tesla, $442.10, up $1.74. Verizon, $48.04, down 20 cents. And Walmart closed at $118.90, up 36 cents. Recapping, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 24.7 points, closing at 50,669. The Nasdaq Composite was up 242.7 points, closing at 26,917. And the S&P 500 Index was up 43.3 points, closing at 7,564. From the Uniontown office of Janney Montgomery Scott, LLC, member FINRA, NYSE, SIPC, where we serve all of your investment needs, this is Angie Danko.
The wait is over. It's time to Manja. Manja featuring Delalo is now open at Live Casino. Part market, part cafe, Manja offers fresh, authentic pasta, pizza, hoagies, salads, ice cream, cocktails, and more made with Delalo's finest ingredients. Eat in, grab and go, or take home a taste of Italy from our retail market. Meet you at Manja featuring Delalo. Now open inside Live Casino, Route 30 at Westmoreland Mall. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Right Stripe, Bay County's premier asphalt seal coating professionals. Locally owned by Matt and Lexi George. Right Stripe specializes in residential and commercial asphalt seal coating, also excelling in line striping and layouts, thermoplastic, and infrared asphalt repair. Bright Stripe has succeeded due to their commitment to quality work for 30 years. Bright Stripe, 724-437-6090, or visit bright-stripe.com. BRITE-stripe.com.
Your local station, 590 WMBS. I hear voices in my head.
Welcome to part 2 of the Sports Boys. Ahead on this hour, your Pittsburgh Penguins. Are they moving forward or are they moving backwards? The move that we anticipated was coming last week actually happened this week. The Penguins signed Evgeny Malkin to what I guess looks like a bargain contract, but in the end, it still is a place that a young player cannot play. You can imagine in your mind all you want that Malkin could play the third line or Malkin could be on the second power play unit, but he's not going to want to do either, and nobody's going to make him. In the end, it's kicking the can one more year and preventing young talent that you're trying to evaluate from getting into a position where they can actually be evaluated. In addition to that, we'll weigh in with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the signing of Aaron Rodgers. Not that I need to do it. I did that last week, but Nick Barczyk wasn't here, so we'll get his take on whether or not he thinks this is good or bad for whatever you're expecting for the Steelers. I guess if you're hoping for the playoffs, this maybe was the last-ditch effort to get there. Not that they're going to finish any differently than what they did the last couple, but if you're hoping for something new, some look into the future, I don't think you got it with the signing of a 42-year-old quarterback behind a makeshift line and with aging talent all over that football field. In addition, Nick's going to do his NBA and WNBA roundup for you. We got that from Bill Madden last week, but it felt Nick was probably upset he didn't get to deliver it. We want to make sure he gets a chance to do that this week. And, of course, any other major stories that take place while we're still on the air, we'll get that to you as well. If you're watching us on TV, you may notice that the camera's not pointed at me, it's pointed at Nick. Well, in addition to that, I'm not in studio anymore. I know, I was there in the first hour, and I'm not there now. It's like this magical thing that happened. But I'm going to rely on Nick to feed me whatever information comes through. I've got no access to anything. So I guess all of you will finally realize if I really know what I'm talking about or I'm just reading off a screen most of the time. You'll get firsthand knowledge of it right here. Nick, thanks for making all this happen for me so I could be on my way.
Wait, you're not in studio? Oh, wow, you aren't. Wow, I just noticed your chair was empty. Good Lord, you pulled a fast one on me, Dunaway.
It's like, you know where I'm headed to the NFL draft. I just assume it's in Pittsburgh every year, so I figured they'd want us every year. So I'm on my way so I can make sure we're on time next year.
You're finding Mendoza, so yeah, absolutely. You're already getting ready for 2027. What a trooper.
Well, yeah, you promised me that interview with Mendoza, and I still haven't gotten it. So
I've also
thought I'd get
promised
it in
you.
Pittsburgh.
I've been promising you cake and balloons for the last 15 years, too.
I brought that up last week. I don't know if you were listening, but I brought that up last week.
No, I missed
I said this Mendoza interview is just going to be like the cake and the balloon.
Well, promises made, promises not kept.
Well, on to like the actual sports that I'm going to still try to do, even though I have no access to any technology. The big signing for the Penguins this week has been Evgeny Malkin. And, you know, it's kind of mixed reaction that you get. I mean, the fan base talks about how much they want him there, but they're one of the lowest attended NHL teams in the league last year. So it's not like anybody's going to see him. In the end, what's more important for the Penguins moving forward? Do we keep the fossils and play museum show, or do we actually start to see whether there's any good young talent in this system and try to somehow, some way rebuild this team? Well, with Malkin coming back, it's pretty much a guarantee they're going to go with the latter. They're going to keep what they have. They're going to try one more playoff run and see if the same old guys who are 1 year older next year can do a little better than the old guys did this year and maybe get past the first round, get past a team you should have beaten, a team in a clear rebuild, the Philadelphia Flyers, who ended up upstaging the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think the season ended in an absolute mess. I think if there was ever a time to justify making changes and doing something a little bit differently, this would have been the year to do it. But instead, it looks like they're going to kick the can one more year. They're going to do whatever the old guys want. They're going to keep those three nostalgia acts together one more time and see if the results maybe somehow, some way can be a little different this time around. In the end, I fear it's only going to get worse. Hopefully there's enough people out there who are happy with this. But in the end, what it does, and no knock on Malkin. Malkin, I thought, looked better this past year than he did in the last couple. But in the end, you're blocking whatever you think might be young talent on this team from getting a legitimate shot next year. You can't bring up these young players and put them on the fourth line and think that you're getting a sample size, because you're not. Sullivan did that for years and developed no one. If you think Koivunen, McGroarty, Zonin, whoever it is that you want to put into that category, if you think they're the real deal, if you think they have legit talent, then they need to be up playing in the top six. Because if you don't do it, you're never going to find out, and then you're going to try to move forward. It's similar to what the Steelers do. They're going to do it with quarterback this year. They're going to move forward with what they have, even though they're not going to see either one of them all year. That's my fear with the Penguins. They're going to get to a point where they're going to say, yeah, we have young talent. Wilkes-Barre tears it up. Look what they do every year. But there's a big difference from the AHL to the NHL. Most AHL guys don't make it in the NHL, and you really haven't given a fair sample size to any of these players before you anoint them as the next wave that are going to, I don't know, take over for the stars that you have. No question about it. Crosby, Letang, Malkin, these are stars. They are franchise players. They have been so crucial to the Stanley Cup wins on this team. But you get to a point, you should, where you have to realize you can't win with them anymore. And if they haven't seen that in the last 5 years, I don't know when they're ever going to see it, Nick.
Yeah, Dave, and obviously, sentimentally, nostalgia-wise, you love to see him back. It sells tickets, I guess, but nobody really wanted to see him the last few years. And Crosby, as great as he is, and you mentioned this off the air, he's not the GM. And if he dictated that he wanted Malkin back, well, that shouldn't have been the final say. It should be the ownership group. It should be Dubas. It should be Coach Muse. But, you can bring Malkin back and still move forward. The issue is I think they're bringing Malkin back and maybe not moving forward. So he's a legend. He's maybe the third best player in the history of the organization, certainly behind Mario and Sid. He has a case for 3. But, he did look great last year, the best he's looked in a while. Our friend Jerome said he looked in better shape than he has in 10 years, but he's still 39, about to be 40. And, I'm not sure how that bodes well for the future if you're bringing guys back who are declining, and as good as he was last year, better than recent years, still pushing up there in age.
As good as he was last year, he still didn't have 20 goals.
Right.
He was on the number 1 power play unit, and he was on the second line. And they had him playing wing, which is much easier to play in the NHL than center. So with all of that working in his favor, he still didn't have 20 goals. I mean, if you want to bring Malkin back and say, hey, we're going to play him on the third line, we're going to put him on the second power play unit, I'm totally okay with that. I don't really think you're blocking anybody at that point. But if he's going to play in that expanded role, then you're blocking the opportunity to see whether or not you have good young talent. And I know the jury's out on Koivunen, and a lot of people are saying they think he's a bust, and he might be, but we don't know. And we're not going to see if all we do is bring him up and put him on the bottom 6. You're never going to know for sure. And it's the same argument I make with the Steelers. That's why I'm trying to be consistent here with the team that I actually do like. I don't think it's the right move. I don't think Raquel should still be there. I don't think you can move forward when you want to continue to live in the past. I thought it was a travesty that Sergei Marashov, the best young player in the system, the franchise moving forward at goaltender, didn't play at all in the playoffs. Why not play him when it doesn't really matter? I don't even think the Penguins were expecting to win anything this year. I mean, at the beginning of the year, they were projected to be one of the 5 worst teams in hockey. We were talking about potentially getting Gavin McKenna as the first pick in the draft. Why not put Morashov in where there's no pressure instead of waiting until the young guys come up? You get in there, now you're expecting to win, and you're going to throw him in for his first taste of the playoffs? He barely played in the regular season. He's tore it up at Wilkes-Barre all year. He tore it up at Wheeling the year before. Yeah, we know what he can do. Why isn't he doing it at the NHL? If you're saying you're all in and you're going to try to get one playoff run for Crosby and Malkin and Letang, why isn't your best young player on the roster? Why are you settling for Skinner, who, yeah, he made it to the last 2 finals, lost both of them, and Shelovs, who has struggled, especially after regulation? It just, to me, doesn't make sense. If I'm the Penguins, I'm going to say, look, nobody's coming. We think Crosby's going to stay even with the young guys. He likes the young guys. The young guys like to look at the iPad with him. He likes that. I think he'll be fine, but there are guys that you need to see something from this year. And that includes defense, too. Brunick, Pickering. There are a bunch of guys that need to come up and get some substantial playing time so that you can see as an organization what you need to do moving forward. They have like 1,000 picks over the next 5 years. They need to know what to go out there and get. They need to figure it out. And the longer you extend this Nostalgia Act, the longer it's going to take for you to figure out what you actually have on this roster. I don't like the move because I don't think it moves them forward. I like Malkin. I appreciate everything he's done for this franchise. But there needs to come a time where you just need to tell someone to walk away. I give the Pirates credit. They told McCutcheon to walk away, and it proved to be the correct move. I think that you're going to see a similar situation where Malkin's going to either be hurt or struggling, and they're not going to be able to get rid of him. You're going to be stuck with him all year because you can't release Evgeny Malkin. You can't DFA McCutcheon if he's still a Pirate. You just can't do it, and I think it's going to set them back more than it's going to vault them forward.
Well, it's really hard to move forward and let guys go that have been winners for you, and he makes them comfortable. Malkin makes the Penguins comfortable. Aaron Rodgers makes the Steelers and Mr. Rooney comfortable, and I think Mike McCarthy made them comfortable in that acquisition, bringing him on as a coach. So it's all about comfort now with these organizations. Well, that's fine, but I'm not sure if that's the best course to win, and the best course to move forward is to be comfortable with older guys, with hiring a 62-year-old coach, with retaining a 42-year-old quarterback, with bringing back a 40-year-old, maybe declining player. So, I mean, that's fine for the here and now, but if you're looking towards the future, that's not the best route. And maybe that's not the best route these organizations want to go down. The Pirates, I'll give them credit. Long-term deal for a 20-year-old in Griffin, letting McCutchen go. So they're the team that always was living in the past. Now it seems like the Penguins and Steelers are doing it more than the Pirates, ironically.
And every league seems to have their criteria of what you need to win, especially in the postseason. I can tell you this, in the NHL, old, slow teams do not win.
Oh, look at the playoffs, Dave. Well, look at Vegas. Look at Carolina. Yeah.
Look at Vegas.
Oh.
And Vegas is one of the older teams.
Right.
But you look at the star power that they have. First of all, they resurrect Carter Hart out of nowhere. I thought he'd never, after the allegations with the Team Canada stuff, I thought he would never be in the NHL again.
He looks amazing.
And here he is leading the Vegas Knights to a Stanley Cup Finals after they benched the goaltender that won the Cup for them a couple years ago, Hayden Hill. By the way, you know who never won a Cup for Vegas' goaltender? Marc-Andre Fleury.
I knew that was coming.
You've got potentially, well, it was coming, but you've got potentially now two guys who might be able to win a Cup who are both reclamation projects. You've got John Tortorella as the coach, who was hired very controversially partway through the year. They fire Cassidy, won't let Cassidy talk to any other teams. They bring Tortorella in, who has a short shelf life. We know that. But in that short shelf life, he usually can compile a number of wins. Don't be shocked if Vegas doesn't win the Cup, regardless of the opposition that's coming from the other side. And you've got two stud stars in Eichel and Marner who have basically carried this team on their back. Vegas would have annihilated the Pittsburgh Penguins. Vegas knocked off Colorado, the best team in hockey all year. Colorado would have annihilated the Penguins. Carolina swept Philadelphia. Carolina's up 3-1 right now on Montreal. Carolina would have annihilated. They would have swept the Penguins if they played them in the second round, just like they swept Philadelphia. And oh, by the way, Montreal, a young team that's sort of still at the tail end of rebuilding, that's moving forward, they would have annihilated the Penguins. The Penguins would not have been close with their old, slow players against any of these teams, or really any of the other teams that were in the round before. As you saw, the worst team in the round before was Philadelphia, who beat the Penguins. Like, there's no chance for this team as assembled to win in the playoffs. They can win in the regular season, but they're not going to win in the playoffs. And to put that same team basically out there, minus probably Mantha, the 30-goal scorer, and maybe a handful of other guys, is an insult to anyone they're trying to get to come down there and pay for tickets to watch this team play. You're not going to win with this. You need to accept it. You need to realize it. You need to get younger. If they're no good, you've got 100 draft picks. You can draft better young players. But the NHL, maybe a little different from some of the other leagues, you can't win with old and slow. And unfortunately, when I look at the Penguins, that's pretty much all they have.
And it's funny because you say it's an insult to the people who want to come down there. I think that's why they brought Malkin back, because, oh, look, he won in 09, he won in 16 and 17, and that's all well and good. But, you know, those days are over. You should be moving forward. And, again, I think you can retain him and move forward, but I'm not sure their corresponding moves are dictating that they're doing that. So, I mean, they have young talent on this roster, but, I mean, bringing him back, I think, letting him go would signify, okay, we're serious about the future. Retaining him means, okay, we're kind of serious about the future, but we still want to hold on to the past a little bit. And I think they were hamstrung because he did have a better season last year than in recent years, and Sid likes him and all that, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just not sure this is the right message to send to the fans.
And in the end, that's just an artificial fan base. These people aren't going down because they think this team's going to win. They go down because they want to see the old fossils that are still out there playing. That remembrance of the past when this team used to win Stanley Cups. That's an artificial fan base.
Right.
That's not real.
And Sid's not a fossil.
Try to generate a real fan base. Right. Try to put a winner out there. Try to build it from the bottom up like they've done in the past, and see if you can get people to now get energized, especially young people, like they did with the college crowd when Crosby, Malkin, and Letang were young players on this team. Try to get that young fan base back. You're not going to get it putting old guys out there where everyone knows, regardless of what you do in the regular season, you can't win in the postseason. You've got to give people hope. That was my criticism against the Steelers for the last decade. There's no hope. You know how it's going to end before it starts. Yeah, you'll win enough games to be mediocre, to be at the mean, to sneak into the playoffs. But in the end, there's going to be a disappointing loss that's going to come because you've just not correctly assembled a team that can compete. The Penguins are in that same boat. They're trying to hold on to the past and move forward at the same time, and you can't do both. You had Ben Kindle and Chinikov in that lineup for the playoffs, the only two guys on that roster that were under 25. That's why they lost. They got caught up in whatever was going on, the complaining about, they attack us, they take cheap shots. Yeah, that's what the playoffs are. You got to do it too if you want to win. They refuse. They're slow. They didn't capitalize on any of it. They couldn't score on the power play. They couldn't score much of anything. And they wonder why they are where they are. You've got to make a decision. You either go all old or you go all in. There can't be a middle ground. The middle ground keeps you in the middle, as we've seen in football for the last decade. I don't know what the answer is, Nick. I kind of get why they want to hang on to the past, but at some point, you've got to break away from that, and the longer you wait, the more you guarantee when this team is competitive again, Crosby won't be there.
Right, and I think they want to try to win one more cup with him on the roster, and I get that. They don't want him fleeing for his buddy in Colorado, I guess, McKinnon, or fleeing somewhere else. I'm sure the league would like him in New York or one of the Canadian big markets, but he's not going to do that. So they want to keep him here, and to keep him happy, they want to keep his buddies around, and I get that. That's admirable to an extent, but you're right. He's not the general manager. As great as Sidney Crosby is, he's not the GM of the Pittsburgh Penguins, so you can't just listen to what he says. And I'm not sure he was the main reason in bringing him back, but you knew once Dubas said at the initial press conference how much we love Gino, and he actually used the word nostalgia. You said, oh boy, they're bringing him back, and they did. So we'll see.
Yeah, and you almost have to, because it's going to be bad parting if they part. And, you know, it happened with Yager a little bit, so they don't want the negative PR. Look at the negative PR the Pirates got with McCutchen. He goes on TV and basically says they don't contact him, they don't want him. Do you want that with Malkin? And I guess they decided they don't, and it makes sense to an extent of where they're coming from. I just don't think it's the right move if you're looking at the entire future of this franchise and what they need to do to move forward. That's just my take on it. I'll digress and move away from it, and I'll turn it over to you because last week the Steelers did something similar, bringing back the nostalgic fossil in Aaron Rodgers. There's not even that much nostalgia with him. They've got 1 year of a sample size where he was the catalyst for why they got blown out in their playoff game. But they decide they want to bring him back. They don't want to go with the young quarterbacks. They'd rather be at the mean or above the mean. They want to be 500. They want that last game of the season to be like a playoff game to clinch a division they should have clinched in September. They want that atmosphere back. What's your take on this? You're at least a Steeler fan. I'm not. Was this the best thing the Steelers could have done, or should they have chosen between Aller and Howard and just went with whatever happened?
Well, again, it's the best thing if they want to win this year. If they want to win 9-10 games and win a playoff game, and they obviously don't want to rebuild. Mr. Rooney said that in January when they hired Mike McCarthy. That shows they don't want to rebuild. And it did not end well with McCarthy and Rodgers in Green Bay at the end. They're just two different personalities. Rodgers and McCarthy are like oil and water, and now they're going to try to make it work 15 years after winning that Super Bowl. And I'm just not sure McCarthy wants this. I think he would like to play Aller or Had and see which one's better. He's the quarterback guru, I've been told. So I'm not sure if this is not a long-term solution, obviously. He's 42. It's a one-year deal. He says he's done. He's going to be done after this year. They desperately want that home playoff game and to maybe win one, which they haven't done in 10 years. So I think for this year it's the best option, but we're not going to see Aller or Howard at all unless he gets hurt. And then I don't know what becomes of Mason Rudolph. But all we hear all off-season and going into the season is how great Aller and Howard look, but they're going to be hamstrung by Rodgers, who I think will be decent. They were better last year than they have been in the years of quarterback since Ben. He made them better in the red zone. They were more efficient offensively with a non-offensive culture with Mike Tomlin. Now with an offensive culture and Mike McCarthy, I think they could be even better. And I'm not overwhelmed with this division. Three of the teams have new coaches, including the Steelers. So For this year, I think if they want to win this year, it's the right move. For the future, obviously not the right move. But for this year, for 2026, let's run it out, see if they can win a division, get a home playoff game, and maybe, for the first time in a decade, win a playoff game. Dave, they're embarrassed by every time they put the graphic up, longest playoff droughts. There's the Panthers, there's the Jets, there's the Raiders, there's the Dolphins, and then there's the Steelers. That terrifies them. That's why they don't want to rebuild. They want this playoff win, and I think Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy can deliver that playoff win in 2026. And for those purposes, it is the right move.
They might have an uphill battle just making it to the playoffs. We started reeling off some teams a couple of weeks ago that are second teams in a division, like Buffalo and New England or Denver and Kansas City. I mean, when you look at that division, they quite possibly could point to Aaron Rodgers being the worst starting quarterback in the North. Jackson and Burrow are clear-cut ahead. Then you got to ask yourself, what kind of Deshaun Watson are you going to get back in Cleveland? Because I'm telling you, he's going to start. Now, he's coming off an injury, and we know all the other stuff. Could Rodgers be the worst quarterback in the division, and how does that give any hope whatsoever? I mean, I'm not worried about Cleveland contending with Pittsburgh, but if Rodgers is clear-cut the worst, how can there even be any hope that he can outlast Jackson and Burrow? I don't think as a third team you're going to make the playoffs as a wild card this year. I just don't see it with some of the caliber in the AFC. Does that make sense?
Yes, but first of all, Dave, Dion, coach of Prime, is going to march into Coach Monken's office and say, "You're playing my boy. You're playing my boy." Okay?
That quite possibly could happen. I
it's
wouldn't
going to
doubt
happen.
that. I
It's
wouldn't
going
put
to
that
happen.
past.
Sorry, Deshaun. They're playing Shadur because Coach Prime will not let his boy sit. He's going to demand, "Coach Monken, you're playing my boy." What a freak show Cleveland is. God, thank God for Cleveland. What a joke of an organization. And Dion's a bad coach and a joke as well. But you're right. I mean, yes, nobody thinks at 42 Aaron Rodgers is better than a healthy Joe Burrow or a healthy Lamar Jackson. And the Ravens are in upheaval with a new coach, much like the Steelers, though their new coach is unproven, unlike Mike McCarthy. We don't know what Jesse Minter can do, and we've seen Zach Taylor. So the Bengals got a lot better, bringing Dexter Lawrence in. They have the best receiver in the league, I think, and Chase are one of the best too. They have not had a good O-line. That's why Burrow's always injured. But if he stays healthy, if Lamar, who looked really shaky last year, looked good in that last Steeler game. He looked like vintage Lamar, but struggled. He lost likely as a threat as well. But Henry's been a dominant force against the Steelers on the ground. Yeah, it's going to be really tough to win this division. If this was Aaron Rodgers 10, 15 years ago, no problem. I'd put him ahead of Burrow or Lamar, but it's not. It's 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who was fine last year, but not nearly the caliber of those guys in their 20s and early 30s.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Could you imagine the karma, Nick, if this year they put their effort into building a team that has the best shot to win a playoff team in the last decade, or win a playoff game in the last decade, and they don't make the playoffs?
Yeah, it would be disappointing, and it would be a waste of a year like they've wasted maybe last year and the year before that with Russ Wilson. They refused to move forward, and, drafting and developing is hard, but I think they're trying to do it. Pickett didn't work, but they tried with Aller. They're trying with Howard, who's not an NFL quarterback. I think Aller could be. I think Aller's going to get a lot of work, and it's good for Aller. He gets to learn for a year from Aaron Rodgers. He gets to learn from a year from Mike McCarthy. That's awesome. So I'm not totally against this. But is it a slam dunk they're going to make the playoffs? No, not at all.
No, I would doubt that, and I guess we'll see what happens as we move forward. You never know. Look at the injuries that happened last year to those two quarterbacks. So you never know what's actually going to happen. It's just a matter of waiting and seeing what's going on. So a little update here. So we're going to get ready to take a break. When we come back from break, it's just going to be Nick coming back from break, and Nick's going to do his NBA, WNBA roundup. I don't know, anything big happened since we've been on? Anything that you noticed that we need to address?
Oh, in the NBA or other sports?
No, just in general. I haven't seen a thing. So
Well,
I didn't
Tani,
know.
we addressed him, how great he is, what a freak he is. Bring up your story about the young man in the Dodgers organization tripping
what
over
a
a dog.
crazy story. So in the minor leagues, for whatever reason, teams employ dogs to go out and retrieve bats. In Major League Baseball, they have kids that do that. Well, in minor league baseball, they have dogs that do it. So there's a kid for the Dodgers, a double-A guy, former first-round pick Kendall George. Kendall George is running home trying to score. He's hitting over 300, plays for Tulsa. And as he's coming home, the dog is coming out to get the bat. And he ends up having to try to get over top of the dog. And when he does, he ends up, I forget what the deal was, some sort of knee injury that he suffered. But apparently he's going to be out for the rest of the year. Insane. Why are we using dogs to go get bats?
They're man's best friend.
How expensive is it? Because they probably don't pay him. What are you going to pay a kid, like a nickel? They'll probably go out and do it. Like, seriously, you're going to put the players at risk? I didn't know they still did this. I knew they used to, but just absolute insanity. So, yeah, there's the insane story of the week. So I don't think there's anything else big. We talked about the salary cap in baseball. We got through all three of the major sports. So now you just have to address these questions that people have when you come back from break. They want to know if the WNBA started their playoffs. They want to know what's going on in the NBA. We know the Knicks are there. Who are the Knicks going to play? They're going to play this Gumby guy, this STD guy, this Oklahoma City. I mean, it seems like a win-win for the NBA. I don't want to spoil anything. I want to let you tell everyone what's coming up.
Thanks, buddy. Anything big going on in golf this weekend? Tiger and Phil playing?
Not that I know of. I don't know if Phil will ever. I don't know if either will ever play. Tiger apparently said he's not playing in the Open.
I saw that.
So I think he's canceled his entire slate.
Yeah.
For the season.
Yeah.
I think
Open.
he's back in the U.S.
Ooh.
Yeah. Phil will never be on the PGA Tour, and Liv might go bankrupt.
Yeah.
So there's that story.
Well,
so just another week on tour. Bunch of 60s and 61s this week.
I'm excited for Shinnecock next month. Can't wait.
Can't wait. That's my favorite of them all. Well, thank you, Nick. I appreciate you for picking up my slack and taking this last segment for me. I will see you next week. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Really? What is all this junk?
It's not junk. This is important stuff. Those tools were Uncle Alvin's, and those boxes over there are my old sports memorabilia.
Uh-huh. Sure. You've never used any of those tools. Some of those other boxes have like an inch of dust on them. Listen, it's spring cleaning time, and I want it all gone so I can actually park the car in the garage. You know, use it for what it's made for.
But we don't have any space to...
Oh, I know we don't, Jake. But renting storage space is a lot cheaper than divorce.
Don't get divorced. Call Hopwood Storage Units. They have the space you need to free up the garage or that overflowing spare bedroom, and, most importantly, keep you out of divorce court. Offering 3 different sizes at affordable rates, call Hopwood Storage Units today at 724-984-5238.
Hey, you looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle? Well, look no more, because with over 200 vehicles, Gary's Auto Sales is the largest used car dealer in the area. Whether you want a car, a truck, or an SUV, you'll absolutely find what you're looking for at Gary's. Gary's has been in business since 1974. You can visit them online at Gary'sAutoSales.com, or you can give them a call at 724-626-8080. Gary's Auto Sales. Many miles, many smiles.
Got stuff and know where to put it? Then it's time for U-Store. Offering various storage space sizes at prices to suit your budget, U-Store has the storage space you need and security features offering peace of mind. U-Store, a Fayette County staple for nearly 4 decades, is located on Northview Lane near 84 Lumber. Call them today at 724-437-8292 or visit their website, ustorepa.com. Mention this radio ad and earn a $20 gas card with a rental agreement.
Hi, this is Dave Dunaway, and I'm here to remind you that Franco's Golf Center is open 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Stop by and see Franco's facility on Route 21 west of Uniontown. Franco's service area includes a lighted driving range and golf pro shop. Even my game has improved thanks to golf lessons with Franco's PGA instructors. Franco's also offers full custom club fitting and repairs by certified club fitter Greg Franco. Franco's is open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Give Franco's a call at 724-438-6655.
If you're ready for a dental makeover or in need of basic dental care, the office of Dr. Mark Rabatin is right for you. Dr. Rabatin uses the latest advancement in the industry to achieve comprehensive care that will preserve your smile for years to come by providing general dentistry services. Call today to schedule your appointment at their modern office, located in the Fayette Business Park, 724-437-4991, for the fine art of dentistry.
When you are looking to make some extra cash for your aluminum cans, visit Cherokee Recycling, where aluminum can is king. Cherokee Recycling is open Monday through Friday 9 to 4:30 and Saturdays 8 to 12 noon, closed Sundays and holidays. Give Marcus or Rags a call today, 724-439-3228 for Cherokee Recycling, where recycling makes the most sense.
Welcome back to the Sports Voice. Second hour ongoing. Dave Dunaway on assignment, as we like to say in the business, for the last 11 minutes of the show. He'll be back next week. Nick Barczyk here as trusty sidekick, filling you in. And yes, we promised the NBA roundup. Not sure how many people out there listening like the NBA in this area, but I certainly do. So let's break it down. The New York Knicks have made the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999 as they swept the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's the closest NBA team to our house here in Southwest Pennsylvania, and the Knicks looked really efficient. They're a very well put together roster. They've not done a lot of winning the last few years, but they brought in Mike Brown as a new coach for a year after letting go of Tom Thibodeau, who was there for a while. Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Cat, their stars. So the Knicks are blowing through the playoffs, and the national media and the NBA front office certainly happy that New York back in the finals. They have not won a final since '73. To put that into perspective, that's 6 years before the last time the Pirates won a World Series in '79. So that was the Clyde Frazier teams back in the '70s. So, yeah, the Knicks looking really good, led by Jalen Brunson, a sweep of Cleveland. Now they're in the NBA Finals, which begin Wednesday the 3rd. They'll await either Oklahoma City or San Antonio. Game 6 of that Western Final Series is this evening, and that is starting at 8 this evening. And the league, as Dave mentioned, is in a great spot, as it looks like it's going to be either Oklahoma City going for back-to-back championships. They're up 3-2 at San Antonio tonight. The Thunder, led by SGA, the MVP of the league, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, for the second straight year. The Thunder seeking their second straight championship. They're a win away from getting to the finals. San Antonio with Victor Wembanyama. He's 7'4" in his first full year. He's been phenomenal, and either it's going to be New York against Oklahoma City or New York against Wemby and the Spurs. So either way, good news for the NBA. They also recently passed an anti-tanking rule. The tanking has been a major issue for the NBA. Teams intentionally losing and playing poorly and not playing their stars or starters to get higher draft picks. The NBA, let's see, today on Thursday, this just came through. The NBA owners followed through on a directive made by the commissioner, Adam Silver, who wanted the league to make sweeping changes in efforts to eliminate tanking. And the owners today voted in favor of adopting a new NBA draft lottery process. That's according to multiple national outlets. The new draft lottery format takes effect ahead of next year's draft in 2027. They just had the 2026 draft. The draft lottery last a few weeks ago. The draft will be next month. Washington winning the lottery, and this format will take effect from 2027 to 2029. The new policy, which some have called the 3-2-1 format, it's going to increase the number of teams in the draft lottery while offering fewer chances for the 3 worst teams in the NBA to obtain the number 1 overall pick. That was the expected result heading into Thursday's vote. So the NBA trying to crack down on tanking. And since you have a lottery, that's an issue in the NBA. Also, the WNBA, we should have started with the ladies first, but the Indiana plays tonight. The Fever, led by Caitlin Clark, who I think even non-basketball and non-sports fans picked up on Caitlin. She's been a phenom the last few years. Maybe the bloom off her rose a little bit, doesn't get discussed of nearly as much. There's other things going on in the sports world. But, yeah, Caitlin Clark is in action tonight. If you get a streaming service, maybe WNBA.TV, you can watch that this evening. But going back to local sports, it's a big night. Paul Skeens on the mound tonight for the Pirates, taking on their division rival Chicago Cubs, who heard the fans celebrating on the radio last night. They brought a strong contingent of fans from Wrigleyville out to Pittsburgh as they snapped their 10-game losing streak. The Cubs have had 2 10-game winning streaks and now just snapped a 10-game losing streak. So it's a long season right now. The Bucs and the Cubs basically neck and neck record-wise, but as we pull up the National League Central standings, we will see how it breaks down right now on May 28th. Again, it's early, but as we look at those standings after last night's game, National League Central. The Milwaukee Brewers in first right now, 4.5 up on St. Louis at 33-20. The Cardinals are 29-25. They play the Cubs at home this weekend. Cubs are 30-26, a game up on the Pirates, who are 29-27, technically last in the division. Brewers first, 4.5 ahead of the Cardinals, then the Cubs at 4.5 back, Reds 5 back, Pirates are 29-27, or 5.5 back. So after struggling a bit there, they're looking to bounce back tonight, losing 10-4 last night, but put up 12 runs Tuesday night. And we'll see what your Buccos do tonight. Should be a great night. Jared Jones making his big league debut for this season, his season debut tomorrow. He's been out for over a year with arm issues, and he was great early in 2024. I've not seen him since then. Has made some re-up starts for AAA as he takes on the vaunted Minnesota Twins this weekend. Derek Shelton coming back to town to take on Don Kelly and the Buccos. And Dave certainly hoping for a sweep this weekend. And also to recap the Steelers, not much going on though. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, I did see this story that he got a new haircut. That's where we are in the NFL offseason. We're talking about that nonsense. Rodgers, who is 42, but he still cares about his hair. Yeah, look at this headline. Aaron Rodgers' new haircut at Steelers OTAs is not what it seems. And all that headline tells me is the NFL offseason is way too long, and we spend too much time on social media breaking down the Steelers and certainly Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure there's pictures of it online. I don't even want to get into what his haircut means or doesn't mean, but I just thought I'd throw it out there. Look at what A-Rod's hair looks like going into 2026. Cannot wait. I just hope he's making connections with Michael Pittman and talking to the new rookies on the team and working with his offensive line, because they're going to need to keep him upright. Offensive line, the most important part of a football team besides quarterback and head coach, and they're going to have to keep the 42-year-old, going to be 43-year-old in December, upright through the season. And if you're going to Paris, have fun. That's coming up in October. But before that training camp, the schedule was released for that, and that is starting at the end of July, as it always does at St. Vincent and Latrobe. Always a great tradition to go out there. It's free. You need a ticket, but free to enter. And that was just announced this week, the training camp schedule. It always starts at the end of July. And let's take a look when it does start, July 29th. So yeah, there you go, about 2 months from tomorrow. So until then, you'll have to be stuck with baseball, but nothing wrong with that. It's my favorite sport. It's the best sport. So the Pirates again tonight, taking on the Cubs, and we'll see what they can do against their division rival. And we mentioned golf, for you golf fans out there. I know Brian Morozak's over at Franco's this evening. Let's see what's going on in the PGA this weekend. 2 weeks ago was the PGA Championship in Philly. The U.S. Open is next month, Father's Day weekend at Shinnecock in New York. Just a regular week on tour. It's the Charles Schwab this weekend with a $99 million purse. And right now, it is a man named Kim at 7 under. See if anyone knows. Keegan Bradley is tied for fourth at this event right now. I know him. So that's this weekend, the Charles Schwab Championship Challenge, if you will. Not sure where it is, but it's not a major, so, who cares? Well, that basically wraps up the Sports Voice. Dave will be back next week in studio, we presume, and I'll be back next week. Good to be back on the show after not being on last week. I know Bill and Mr. Madden and Dave hung down the fort, but here I am as we wrap up the Sports Voice. Again, we have Bucco Baseball in just a bit here on your local station, 590 and 101.1 W266DB, WMBS Uniontown. Hope the Pirate Talk and the Steeler Talk, Penguins bringing back Malkin. Hope that was all sufficient for you. Baseball as well. Hopefully we get a season next year. But Ohtani, you got to watch him. I know the games are late in Los Angeles, but you have to watch him. Last night, hit a home run, and 6 no-hit innings. He's a freak. He's a unicorn. He's coming to Pittsburgh for a series with the Dodgers next month. Please check him out. He is amazing. So that should wrap up the Sports Voice. Again, Bucco Baseball is on the way at 6:15 with Skeens on the Mound game at 6:40. News is next, and then we'll bring you some local news, and again, get you ready for Bucco Baseball tonight. All here on your local station, WMBS Uniontown. For Dave Dunaway, I'm Nick Barczyk, signing off on the Sports Voice. We'll catch you next week.
When your home runs on the internet, slow just isn't an option. Armstrong Fiber's gig speed internet is built for households that need every device firing at full speed, all at the same time. We didn't outsource this. Our people build it, engineer it, and install it throughout neighborhoods ourselves. Fast, dependable, and rooted right here with you. Proudly local, fiber-powered. Armstrong, keeping you connected. Visit ArmstrongFiber.com to get started today.
Is your lawn getting shaggy? Weeds taking over? Maybe it's time for a full yard cleanup or fresh mulch and clean, crisp edges to bring your landscape back to life. Whatever your lawn needs, Z's Ground Control has you covered. They do it right the first time. Call 724-366-9150 today for your free estimate. Z's Ground Control. You grow it, we mow it.
Why move? Grow into the home you love and transform your space with First Federal of Greene County. They offer home equity loans, home equity lines of credit, and FHA Title I home improvement loans, all to keep your roots planted where you want to be. Visit a loan officer today or lock in your rate before the market heats up and apply online anytime.